It is 12:15. You know what that means. It is time for the Sports Hour. Of course, Curtis Collings here to talk about some sports. Of course, we got the AEW banner up right now because we're going to get into AEW Collision talks from Saturday. And then, of course, in about 20 minutes or so, if I can fit it in 20 or so minutes, we will be talking about the Blue Jays. And then in 20 minutes after that, we'll be talking about the Panthers and football. So we got a lot to go over today. We got a whole collision review from Saturday and a banger episode that we'll just kind of rifle through. I don't really need to go on any long spiels because I have so many different talking points to get into that I think we're going to have a lot to talk about yesterday. That's just going to be going over what we have today. So, intro over. We'll get into it. AEW Collision starts right now. I watched this just this morning. I woke up at 8:30 in the morning with the plan of watching Collision to then talk about it today. So, very good way to spend my morning. The episode starts off with Toni Storm in a promo. Really creatively lit with a spotlight and everything else is blacked out all around her, which I thought was super cool. And then Tony is talking about Athena and calls her annoying a whole bunch. And then has a nice little innuendo to end it. And then Athena comes out, jumps her, and cuts a pretty good promo of her own. Gets good heat. And I think the segment worked really well. Makes fun of Tony at the end. Then Mina comes out, and Mina then evens the odds. And I think that worked really well. Probably setting up a tag match in Scotland between the four of those ladies, which I think would be really cool, unless that's already been announced and I'm living under a rock. But either way, a really good way to start off the episode. I really am excited for that. I think Athena and Toni Storm are going to kill it. They're going to tear the house down. After that, we got our first match of the evening. It was a tag match between Jet Speed and Mox, of course. Mox and Wheeler Yuta of the Death Riders. And last time I talked about wrestling, I used someone else's notes. This is all my own notes. Everything from today is stuff from myself. And then when we get into Twitter time, we'll, of course, credit the people that deserve to be credited. But this is all me from my eyes and my brain. So, tag match between Jet Speed and Mox and Yuta, the Death Riders. Really solid match. Mox has put his working boots on lately. He has been, killing it. Really enjoying watching Jon Moxley as of late, which is surprising because there was a very long time there where Jon Moxley was. It was a tough watch. It sucked sometimes, legitimately, because of just that rain and how painful it got. But, I think since about May onwards, it's been great. And ever since losing the title, he has been one of my favorite wrestlers just to watch week in, week out on TV. He's always been a guy that has really fun matches. And then especially against guys like Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, is like the perfect type of guy for him to go against, where he gets to be this kind of brute, this offensive brute, and just kind of beat them up, and then they kind of have to just struggle for their life in the match. And I think it's super fun, and he's been awesome lately. So shout out Jon Moxley. I love Jet Speed as well. Both those guys feel like they belong in AEW, and it feels like they've been in AEW for years now, for just how seamlessly they fit in. Midway through the match, I wrote I could smell a Yuta face turn. Not in the match. I wrote maybe not for 2 to 3 months, but I can smell it. It's when he cuts his hair, goes back to normal Wheeler Yuta, turns on Mox. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen soon. And then there's another turn that I can smell coming soon, but we'll talk about that later. There was an insane chop battle between the four guys in the middle of the ring that ended with Mox hitting the cutter. I think it was on Kevin Knight to close the exchange. Later on, Kevin Knight leaping Hurricane Rana off the top rope into a speedball powerbomb. Insane spot. That was so cool. Really liked that. The fans were loving the match, giving it big holy shit chants. Speedball Mike Bailey destroyed Marina Shafir, shoving her into the steps. He looked conflicted about it, but he destroyed Marina Shafir. Um, Yuta kneed Moxley, which created like this tension of like, oh my gosh, Death Riders might lose. But Speedball then got the visual win after hitting a move on Yuta. But the ref was distracted, got a 5 count, and the ref was distracted. And then the Death Riders won on a low blow. Really fun. Really, really fun tag match. Again, it's one of those things. It's like, we'll talk about this later, of course, as well. Another thing to say for later, but the show, everything that AEW has put out lately has been A plus television, or at least A television. Cream of the crop. It's been so good. It's one of the best runs. Again, so I'll save that for later, but please check out this episode because all the matches on it were pretty good, especially that tag match and especially the main event. So I would check out this episode. After that, we get Brother Nature. The Outrunners had an 80s themed music video promo package where they're dressed as soldiers with paint on their face and they're in the woods, but they're kind of like frolicking around and like fishing, and like they caught a frog and were like holding the frog up and like roasting marshmallows and then of course they do the big like handshake. But oh my god, they're such goofy goobers. I love them so much. We love the Outrunners. They're the best. After that, give it up for Ricochet, as we have Ricochet facing off against a former Bullet Club member, making his AEW debut, Ace Austin, which, great look. It made me write down one thing I'll say about AEW is they have a lot of skinny wrestlers, which isn't a problem. It leads to great matches and great work rate, and the guys more or less stay healthy. That's, whatever. But they have a lot of skinny wrestlers. They're ripped wrestlers, but skinny. Ace Austin does not have this issue. He is built. He looks just buff. Like, he's wide and like big. Like, he's not the tallest. He's around Ricochet's height, but he just like he's super jacked. Kind of like the not as jacked as Brian Cage, but pretty jacked, I will say. And he moves really good. Like, he has cool moves. Like really cool wrestler. I really liked that match. Ricochet picks up the win, but Ace Austin, he looks like he could be a player. Afterwards, we get a Hurt Syndicate promo. They're gonna hurt whoever wins the tag tournament. Obviously, I mean, they're the Hurt Syndicate. And then afterwards, they talk about if there's any drama with MJF and drama within the group, and they say no drama. Drama's made up by internet nerds like me. There's no drama, right, guys? No drama and no drama. Hurt Syndicate stuff. I love them, but no MJF anymore. So it's not as like, it's still like I love them, but it's not as like must see TV when it's MJF with the Hurt Syndicate. But we'll see. MJF, he's preoccupied now, so I'm down for the storyline. It's just it's not the same. Because I quite liked that pairing personally, but that's just me. So, after that, we got our first wrestler to get a chance based on an edit. Vanilla Baby, Blake Christian, and Lee Johnson facing off against the last remaining members of the Paragon. Of course, that's Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. We got a little promo between Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy before the match. Hologram and Ishii walk in. And Kyle O'Reilly is so funny. It's not fair how funny he is. He's just talking about the conglomeration, and then he talks about the Don Callis family, and he talks about Kyle Fletcher. He calls him Kyle Fletcher, and then while he's saying that, Roddy screams Kyle, which then Kyle O'Reilly goes, "What did I do?" And then Roddy's like, "Oh no, not you, man. I'm talking about Kyle Fletcher." It's just super fun. And then that winds down. Kyle O'Reilly says the word of the day is momentum. And then they're going to go out afterwards and eat a bunch of local food. to where they were, Cincinnati, I'm pretty sure. Um, and then a very solid tag match, as you can expect with those four wrestlers that I named. Uh, Roddy has no interest in the conglomeration because Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy pick up the win, and he just does not celebrate with them at all. Actually, leaves the ring, celebrates all on his own. So, no interest in the conglomeration. Kyle O'Reilly still loves those boys. We got backstage to Bandito then, getting beat down, or I guess he was already beat down, but he's being demasked by Big Stoke and FTR as they get into a little brawl with Brody King, leading out to the ring. Of course, that's setting up for the tournament finals match that is on a Wednesday. That personally, I think FTR is going to win, but we'll talk more about that Wednesday morning. Really looking forward to that, though. After the beatdown, Dax and Cash go to raise Big Stoke's hands in the ring, but Stoke is in a brace, and so Cash picks up one hand, and Dax just grabs his other arm and then yanks it like that, and then Stoke like rips it away, and they're the stupidest. I love them so much, but they're the stupidest guys in the entire company. Oh my goodness. Right from that, we cut backstage to SoCal in the sky or whatever, Top Flight in California. Whatever they're named. Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, Top Flight, their group. Cut to a promo backstage with them. They want trios gold or something. Cool. At least someone's going for it. It's my gripe that I was talking about last time we talked about AEW and those trios titles not being defended. I thought that the LFI was for sure going to get them. Nope. So maybe SoCal in the Sky, as I've labeled them. Also, the woman in the group, I wish I knew her name, and I feel really bad that I don't. But she swears, and then Christopher Daniels like, that's $5 for the swear jar. And she's like, make it $10, and then swears again. And I was like, that's funny. I like that gimmick. I could watch another promo of them. I'm not over the moon about them. I've never have been about Scorpio Sky, and especially Top Flight. But, it's enjoyable television, regardless. If they're on Collision, then good for them. I think that's a good spot for them. And now the women's four-way $100,000 match. That's going to be Julia Hart, Penelope Ford, Anna Jay, and the girl that should win, Chris Statlander. This is what I wrote before the match started. Very fun match. The four girls tear it up. Stat taps out Julia Hart to earn the money and then gets jumped by Sky Blue. And then Tekla as well. Sky Blue and Tekla, the Triangle of Fear, the Triangle of Spider Ladies, whatever their name is. They all come out, and then Queen Amanada comes out to jump Tekla because obviously it's, peas and carrots with those two. And then Ty Mello runs out. And then the Megasis, Megan Bayne, comes out. And it's madness. There's so many ladies out there. And the big one, Harley Cameron. Her music hits. And she is back. Oh, very fun to see that. She sends everyone running while holding a chain on a stick or something like that. She was ready to kill some of those ladies. And I support it. So that was really cool. We got Harley Cameron back. We cut backstage immediately after that to Kyle Fletcher. Cutting a promo on Hiromu Tanahashi. Tanahashi. One of the two. Tanahashi is what I wrote, so I'm going with Tanahashi. And we love our Fletch God. He was cheering on as well. His husband, Konosuke Takeshita, who was in the G1 and won the G1. Shout out Takeshita. Shout out my brother. That's his favorite. That's his boy. So, Takeshita on top of the G1. If he goes on, he could win the big one. He and Fletcher are going to be on top of the world. Immediately after that, we cut to a different area backstage where celebrating Chris Statlander is, and Harley Cameron's with her. She tries to pick up Chris Statlander, can't, so jumps in her arms instead, which I thought was really funny. That's when Mox walks out. And Stat is holding Harley Cameron, and Harley Cameron looks up at Jon Moxley, and Moxley goes, damn right, and then walks off after going like that. And then Yuta also walks in, who has history with Statlander, and says, hey, great work out there, as the Death Riders continue to try to recruit Chris Statlander. Immediately after that, guns up, baby. We got the Gun Club. We got Juice Robinson, facing off one-on-one against, I wrote Bryce Keith. It's Brian Keith. I was tired this morning. There's so much stuff in this notes that I wrote wrong, and I didn't even realize it. I'm just realizing it reading it now. Of course, Juice Robinson is accompanied by Austin Gunn, and Cardblade and Card Connor Gunn, and goddamn Bryce Keith. Brian Keith is accompanied by Big Bill, the Redwood Tree, which he's not called that anymore. This is a match of 4 of my favorite characters in AEW. These guys are full of charisma, and it's dangerous. All these guys are so goddamn funny. Austin Gunn makes me laugh endlessly. I wrote that mid-match because Austin kept yelling from outside, and it was so funny. And then Juice was bickering all match, and it was so funny. And Bryce Keith now, was doing emotes all match. It was amazing. And then I love Big Bill getting involved at the end just because he's just such a spectacle to watch as a big man. And then Juice picks up the win at the end. Yay. And that's literally what my notes say. Then we cut backstage again. Bowen's cutting a great heel promo, bragging about all the good stuff he does, throwing out the first pitch in the Giants game, going to like charities and whatnot. He's this going on the red carpet of Nobody 2, buddying up with Bob Odenkirk. And all he can hear is Max Caster's name, and that damn chant is what he says. And all I have to say about that is, let's go, Max, you're the best wrestler alive. Let's go, Max, you're the best wrestler alive. But I really like the directions it's going. I really love this for Bowens. I really love that for both guys. I think the Acclaimed breakup is going to go really well for both guys. I think this is going to be perfect. And now, with 3 minutes to spare, we get to talk about the technical spectacle. The technical special. Spectacle, I think it was called. But I wrote special because, again, tired. Winner faces off against Zack Sabre Jr. This is Daniel Garcia, Nigel McGuinness, Lee Moriarty, the ROH Pure Champ, Lee Moriarty, and Hechicero, all facing off. And this match rules. Oh my god. To be uncensored for a second, and I won't, I can't, but this match rules. Please go watch it. Please go watch it. Nigel picks up a huge win. Sorry to spoil it, but Nigel picks up a huge win in an epic spot with Danny Garcia. Please go watch this match as soon as possible. It's on TSN. I assure you it's going to be on Daily Motion. Watch this match as soon as you can. After the match, Nigel cuts a little promo about how he's excited to face off against Zack Sabre Jr., how it's a dream match, and how he wants Danny Garcia to be in London, in his corner. And Danny looks reluctant. The crowd is chanting yes, and he inevitably shakes his hand as they hug. My closing note, because I don't really have a lot of time to talk about it, is I was born in 2003. As a 22-year-old, I can safely say this is the best run of television any company has had in my entire life. Again, I wasn't really alive for a lot of the for the mid-2000s, so, maybe there was a stretch that WWE had, or New Japan had, or whatever. I don't think it compares to this. Twice a week now. Not bi-weekly. Twice a week, every week, you can tune in for 2 hours and be endlessly entertained by the best wrestling I've ever seen before. And I grew up watching wrestling. I liked it on the internet. I've seeked out past wrestling. And what is going on right now is special. I think when review channels look back on this period of wrestling in 20 years, much like the review channels of right now look back at the 90s, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. This is going to be looked at as the best and timeless. Not just Tony Storm, but everything. I can't gush enough. I'm so happy watching the product. So yeah. Speaking of being so happy, so I'm going to take a second to take a little drink of water. I'm so happy about these Blue Jays. They have been fantastic, other than one game, but we'll get into that. Really fun series. Again, other than one game, but that's bound to happen. And we talked about this Friday. I'm cool with winning two out of the three games. I'm cool with taking two games from them, leaving them with just the one win. I'm cool with that. I like that. And that's what we got. So, to get into it, game one, 6-5 win. And before we get into that, Alejandro Kirk, first career stolen base for the Speedster. He did it. He got a stolen base. He kept the bag after the game, too. That might go down as his only career stolen base. Who knows? But just so, I'm just, what a moment. Alejandro Kirk, stolen base. To get into it, though, this game had me nervous the entire time. What a terrifying game. Which you would think means Bassett was horrible. But he went 5 innings with only 4 walks, 3 runs, and they were all earned. And they were all allowed in the... they were his only runs allowed, and they were allowed early. I think it was in the first or the second inning. So really good damage control after, giving up runs. Kept us at least in the game. And, that's what we needed. In the 7th inning, we would score 2 runs to make it a 3-2 game, 1 run away. But then in the top of the 8th, unfortunately, Varland and Fluharty, 2 guys I like, would combine to give up 2 more runs. So then we'd go down 5-2-2. I thought it was over at this point, and that's when the Jays decided to put up 4 runs in return to win the game. This one was Kirk delivering the kill shot, but also shout out to Bo Bichette, who got an RBI as well in that inning, and I can't remember the other guy. Maybe it was Vladdy, but either way, really good stuff there. Kirk's been just on fire lately, which I gotta give him his respect. That's a guy that's disrespected him in the past. I gotta give Kirk his respect. He delivered 2-run single. And then the biggest part of it, too, was Hoffman came in 3 strikeouts to close the game. That's what we need. That's what we're looking for from this guy. I've doubted him before. I'm already on tape. I've only done this show 4 times. So I'm already on tape doubting him. I'm pretty confident in that. But this was good. And if he could do this consistently, I mean, that's impossible. 3 straight strikeouts, no way he consistently does that. But if he can do that semi-consistently, especially in the playoffs, he could be the guy for us. That, is the guy. If what happens, but we're not going to say it. We're just going to knock on wood. So yeah, really, really exciting game 1. I definitely thought it was going to be a loss. We came into it as an underdog. I think we came into every single one of these games as an underdog in the betting odds, which is highly disrespectful for the best team in the American League. Either way. So we came into that game as an underdog, picked up a huge win, and then we came into the next game as an underdog. I know this because I always pick the Blue Jays as my underdog in real, just because, if they're going to make them the underdog, I'm going to pick them because we're the best. But either way, game 2, we're the best. 14-2 victory. Not much was ever in doubt here. Springer's back. That was awesome. Really happy to see George Springer come back here. The concussion, he seems to be better. I mean, it wasn't this game. It was the next game, but that Springer would do good. But Springer looks to be back, and he looks to be really good, hopefully. We'll see long term, of course. Baseball is a game of short sample sizes not really mattering in the long run. So I hope George Springer can continue playing like he was before he got hurt. But in the 14-2 victory, we had 6 runs in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and then 2 more in the bottom of the 3rd, which meant this game was clearly over very early, which we love those types of games. Blowouts, just easy wins, no sweats. The big thing, though, is Eric Lauer went 5 innings, just 1 earned run. I'm very happy with that. That's very good baseball. with how our offense has been playing this year in 5 innings, we're likely to score more than 1 run. We're likely to put 2 to 3 on the board. And if Eric Lauer's going to only allow 1 run, if a guy like Max Scherzer is going to pitch 7 innings and only allow 2 runs, this is going to be a team that can win in the playoffs. I've had my doubts, and I'll continue to have my doubts just because it's the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays. So I'll always doubt in the playoffs. Somehow the Raptors won. But this year feels really good. And day in, day out, it's a consistent ball club other than the one bad game they'll have. But we'll get into that just to go over some quick stats from that game too. That was really fun. Schneider, 3 for 4 with a home run and 4 ribbies. Varsho, 3 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBIs. But the star of the game, Kilometers Straw, aka Miles Straw. 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. Awesome game from the former Guardian. Really liked that. And to close it off, an unofficial save goes to Tyler Heineman. If you saw the Blue Jays Twitter, they gave him one. Obviously, it was a 14-1 game when he came in, but we're having fun. He allowed 1 run and got 3 outs. So, good for Heineman. And then that shifts us over into Game 3, which was a 10-4 loss. Not all games can be fun. Barrios got eaten alive in this one. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 10 hits, 6 runs, all of which earned 2 home runs and just 2 strikeouts. The last start he had, that wasn't this one, was really good. This one, what happened? I guess it's just Texas was all over him. They had his number. But, we still put up 4 runs in that game. So if Barrios had a normal game where he only gives up, say, 3 runs, we win. Unfortunately, this was not a normal game. But Vladdy, Kirk, and Springer all went yard. Springer, 2 RBIs. The other, just solo shots. So we'll take that. We'll take a Springer home run. And we'll take 2 games in the 3-game series. This all at home. Which, yeah, I'm certainly very happy with it. Again, this is a Blue Jays team that has been performing and living up to these new expectations that have been put on them. I definitely want to talk about the Blue Jays a little more because we're about halfway through our sports hour. And we've talked about the Blue Jays here for 10 minutes. And went through the entire series. So I guess real quick, we'll go over the next series because this is going to be really fun. It's not this series, but this series should be very fun. When did we play them? I saw a meme on Twitter that I found hilarious, or maybe we already played them. I'm losing my mind. No, that's why it wasn't the Blue Jays. I saw a meme on Twitter that made me laugh a lot because currently the Brewers and the Cubs are facing off. That's the 78-45 Brewers and the 70-53 Cubs, which they're doing a doubleheader today. They're going to be playing at 2:20 and 8:05. So there's a chance the Brewers get to 80 wins by the end of today, but I doubt the Cubs let that happen. I saw a meme on Twitter that was the Devil Magic series starts today, and so I found that really funny. But for the Blue Jays, we're facing off against the Pittsburgh Pirates, which, again, should be a lot of fun, but today is going to be today's going to be the rough day because we're facing off against Paul Skeens, who is 7-9. He loses more often than he wins, but he's still pitching a 2.13 ERA and has 166 strikeouts already. Yeah. He scares me, but we're putting out Kevin Gausman to face off against him. He has a .293 ERA, which is also very respectable, especially in 2025 when offense has been pretty up this year, I want to say. So Gausman's really good. Paul Skeens is the second best pitcher on the planet right now. The best pitcher in the National League, Only second to Tarek Skubal. I still think that, in my opinion, but hey, if you have Paul Skeens as the best pitcher, I'm not going to argue with you because I respect that. I respect it completely. But coming into this game, this is of course going to be at 6:40 p.m. today. Bo Bichette is hitting 297. I really want to see that. We're going to track that, check in tomorrow, see if that's at 300. Like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's hitting exactly 300. So another guy we're going to track, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if both of them are over 300 by tomorrow. And then the rest of the team, I don't think we have the lineup yet, but I'm very excited to see how it shakes up. Of course, it is the Pirates. The Pirates are bad. We like facing the Pirates. Today is going to be pretty tough. Of course, we don't like that. But the rest of the games in this series should be pretty easy. We're gonna do a little side note here. 12:46 p.m. Little side note. I am huge into fantasy football. We've talked about it before, and it's crucial now to explain that I am in a 32 person league. I'm in a 32 person league. There's 32 people worldwide, mostly in America though, that are all playing fantasy football in this one league. I'm gonna sneeze before I explain the rest of this. All right, now that I've got that out of the way, I can explain that I am on the clock. And shout out to my dad, Dave Collings. You might see him in the chat from time to time. Huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. Right now, right here, right now, on the Collings, Curtis Collings presents the Sports Hour on the Collings Third Network channel. We're picking Jalen Royals. So, there you go. Thought you would like to see that. Fun little side note. Anyways, we were talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think we're going to kill them. I really think we're going to kill them. I really hope we jump all over Paul Skeens. I really do, but, we'll have to wait and see what happens. The probable pitchers for the rest of this series for the Blue Jays here is going to be Max Scherzer tomorrow. And he's been really good lately. He's been on a roll lately, I'll say. And then Wednesday, I think last game in this series, it looks like Bassett's going to be our probable pitcher. And then that will lead into a little off day for the Blue Jays, our first off day in quite a while. And then a series against the Miami Marlins. And I will always take a series against the Marlins. That is such a lifesaver after facing quite a few challenging teams and facing a challenging pitcher today. So we got 2 games against the Pirates that are going to be easy. 1 game against the Pirates that's going to be hard. And then a Marlins series. So we love that for our Blue Jays. And then and there he is, as promised. I knew it was a great pick, and I knew you'd support it. So there's all the validation I need. I think he might, he's going to be a hidden gem for me. Now I got to look for a running back. That's the next issue with my team. Yeah. That's probably a good amount of time to talk about the Blue Jays. Sorry to all my Blue Jays supporters out there that want me to talk about them longer. Shit happens. Nose is getting runny. This is not good. I needed to hold on for 25 more minutes. 25 more minutes, Nose. We got this. Toronto Raptors, breaking news. Bobby, let me get his name right. Let me make sure. Bobby Webster. Why? It's important to get names right. The Raptors promote Bobby Webster, their general manager, to the head of basketball operations. Of course, that I think he took Masai Ujiri's job. I'm not certain on that. I'd have to actually look into the proper job titles, but this was a promotion that we all saw coming. No surprises here. So now we get into the Carolina Panthers. I still have hope. Don't worry. I still have a lot of hope. I still have a lot of hope. Just needed to take a minute because it's been this 2 games were not good. Before we get into that, completely seriously, I want to say, rest up, get healthy. We're all gonna be rooting for you and rooting for your recovery. Nick Scorton, a collapsed lung. That's scary. Never like to see that. But hopefully he could go back stronger than ever. So we're rooting for you, Nick. Now on to football. What a painful game. What a horrible, painful game that was. Not fun. Not a fun watch in the slightest. I feel dead after watching that one. We got a lot to go over here. Bryce Young and the starters. Tedero McMillan played a little bit more, but, young wide receiver, of course, he's going to play more. Tedero McMillan and the starters only got in for 2 drives. What are we doing? The worst part? They won't be playing Thursday. We're not playing any starters Thursday. I'll never get that, but whatever. If you want a reasoning, because of course Canales was asked about it, head coach Dave Canales says the reasoning is the starters weren't executing the basics well enough to earn another game. If they're not executing well enough, that's why you give them another game in the preseason when the wins and losses and stats don't matter. Sure, you could shoot their confidence if they play another preseason game and play bad versus just being in training camp where it's controllable. But come on. A team that's not executing the basics properly, logically, they should be playing more exhibition games. Should be scrimmaging more. You should not be taking them out. Losing opportunity to get better. I don't get it. We should be playing games to solidify these issues before week 1. And I swear, and a lot of Panthers fans were saying this on Twitter, if after week 1 if we lose bad and the quote is we got a lot of work to do comes out, I'm going to call bullshit. Anyways, guess we're going to be focusing really heavy on training camp this week and not the game. Not the game that we love to watch and we're waiting to watch again. That's 16 days away. Not the game. We're going to be watching practice. Shout out Allen Iverson. So I'm already frustrated by that. I'm also frustrated by the game itself. A 20-3 loss. We'll get into it. I wrote down the drives and what happened on the drives that we're going to frustratingly go over because this sucked. I'll smile and laugh, of course, because it's not serious. It's preseason. Whatever. And of course, if they kept Bryce in the game and the starters in the game, maybe gave them 4 drives instead of just 2, the offense could have gotten rolling because they had a chance to. But no. Okay. Anyways, on to why I'm mad. Starts off, Chuba Hubbard, 2-yard rush. Whatever. It's yards. 2nd and 8. I'll take 2nd and 8. That's fine. That's 2 4-yard pickups. First down. Instead, I think it was like an 18 to 20-yard throw downfield. Tedero McMillan jumps up, reaches his hand up, gets a hand on it, but it's just way too high up, out of his reach. And then drop back again, throw to JT Sanders, hits him in the hands, drops it through the hands, punt. Really frustrating. That should have been a catch by Sanders. And then that ball placement by Bryce to Tedero McMillan. You want to see that be a bit lower. I am repping the McMillan today, so I'm going to be in his corner. But again, it's just you want to see that catch made. Or you want to see that ball in a catchable range. And just slightly lower. Because that is a catchable ball if it's literally like that much lower. It would have been in his hands. Either way. And then the Jatavion Sanders one. Frustrating. Oh, so many Panthers fans are all over that one. The defense, then, the starters, came out and played great. I really liked it. Derek Brown got some run, which was really cool to see. Dave Canales said he wasn't going to do it, and then Brown practically begged him to play. 3-and-out for the Texans to start. Really good stuff. I really liked that. The defense looked good. Simple as that, really. Second drive, last drive for Bryce is no one open, a 2-yard scramble, then a 2-yard rush by Chuba Hubbard, and then an 8-yard sack on Bryce Young as he escaped from the pocket and tried to get someone open. Another frustrating drive where just nothing seemed to be working. It was frustrating. And of course it's preseason, so they're not running as much as they usually would. If we were running more, I'd feel a lot safer. And it feels like they're taking more risky decisions, which I like. I like them trying to do these risky throws and running deeper routes that don't give Bryce as much time to set up in the pocket. This is fine. This is preseason football. It's just once the regular season comes around, I want to see two things: more runs and more shallow passes for 3, 4, 5 yards. We don't need to be going 15 plus yards with every throw, which we have been doing so far. So it's frustrating me, but it'll be okay. And to answer your question there, my number one fan, top fan with the crown, of course, Dave Collings, my dad. Is Coach Downs' job in jeopardy? No, not quite yet. Ejiro, Evero, I don't know how to say his name. Evero, the defensive coordinator, his job's in jeopardy. I think by week 5, if we're 1-4, he's fired. He has to be fired. I think even 2-3 is slightly disappointing, but he might keep his job depending how the defense does. If the defense is what's holding us back and we're 2-3, I want him fired. Basically, that's my leash. Dave Canales, I'm not so worried. He'll make weird decisions, but I think when the season comes around, it's all going to start to make sense. We hope. I'm not going to hold this preseason too against him, though. I've seen a lot of Twitter fans question his longevity with us, and I think that's a little wild. I think he's still the coach for us. Moving on to the game, we're back on defense because, of course, we punt away after that 8-yard sack. The defense, it, again, wasn't that bad. The Texans did get a good drive off here, but, the defense put up a fight, I'll say. They got down to the red zone. We forced 4th down. I thought, oh, great, a field goal. We're still in this game. Only 3-0. I even texted my best friend Nolan saying, held on to a field goal. And he said, oh, just you wait. Because then CJ Stroud connected with Nico Collins to get a touchdown. So that was nice and frustrating as well. And I was like, well, game's over. And then we got the ball back, and I saw Andy Dalton take over. And I was like, I'm out. I'm good. Which I continue to watch. I will say I continue to watch till the 3rd. I continued to watch till the 3rd, and then I realized it was just going to be Plummer from then on out. And I'm like, all right, this is unwatchable. This is horrible. And it was. It was absolutely disgusting again. So yeah, that's my review of the game. Tedero McMillan looks really nice. He burned Derek Stingley on it. Up, out, and then up. Guess who doesn't know the name of routes? This guy. So I'll just describe what it is. Burned him on it, and then Andy Dalton tried to throw it. Arm got smacked. Loses the ball. Should have been like a 30-plus yard pickup again for Tedero McMillan. 2 games in a row. He's really impressing me. He looks like he's going to be an NFL wide receiver fully. And a wide receiver 1 at that. I genuinely believe we could be flirting with 90 to 110 receptions, 1,000 to 1,200 yards, 6 low ball to touchdowns, 6 to 12 touchdowns. It's a wide range for the touchdowns. But the rest of the stats, I genuinely believe he could be on that Mike Evans level of wide receiver. Year 1. So we'll track that, and I'll look like an idiot if I'm wrong. But I genuinely, to my core, I believe that. Looking at the stats, it's preseason. Stats don't matter. It's all about how it looks. It's all about eye test. But Trevor Etienne, 7 carries, 25 yards, and a 7-yard reception. So we'll take that. And that's about it because the stats are also super ugly because we weren't picking up yards, we weren't getting receptions, and we didn't get any touchdowns. And that was it. It is the type of game that worries me, but not too bad. Again, if the offense stayed out there longer, I think we could have ended the first quarter with a touchdown. I think we could have ended that first quarter tied 7-7 if Bryce and the offense stayed out there. But they didn't. I also think that we could have gotten scored on more in that first quarter if CJ Stroud and their offense stays out more, but they didn't either. So who's to say? All I'll say, just for the Panthers, they could have scored in the first quarter if they kept Bryce out. I'm confident we would have had a scoring drive. And what that tells me for the regular season is I'm confident at least, bare minimum, twice a game the Panthers are going to score. At least 14 points, which is a lot compared to last year where we had games with 3 points. I think we got shut out at least once. It's just sad performances. 7-point games. I think no matter what, we're going to at least score once a half, and I think there's going to be a lot of games where we're scoring every quarter and then maybe sometimes sprinkling in a field goal. I think this is a team that's going to be putting up, not struggling to put up 28 points, where in the past it's felt like they have to, pardon the pun, scratch and claw for every single yard. It doesn't feel like that no more, which I quite like that. Or at least I hope it's not going to feel like that, and I'm going to be happy. I shouldn't be talking for the future. Andy Dalton is hurt. I think it was in that preseason game. Maybe it was on the throw to Tedero McMillan because he got hit in the arm, which caused it to not get to him. And the Panthers sign a new backup quarterback. Bryce, not young, Perkins, a UFL star, a guy that's performed pretty well in the past. He's coming over. We'll see what he can do. And then, of course, he's going to play a lot this Thursday. I really think so. It's going to be him and Plummer, basically, seeing as Bryce isn't going to play and Dalton isn't going to play. So, yeah, frustrating games. Not happy. I'll be honest with you. Not happy with how it's looking. But speaking of looking, we can go look at Twitter. The close out the day, we got about 12 more minutes. So that's not quite correct. Let me fix that. Let me get on that. That's my bad. You know what? We'll own up to that. I'm hitting the wrong button. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons right now. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. This is on me. There we go. I don't know why it wasn't working. That was weird. It wasn't working how I usually have it. And we're good now. Okay, Twitter time to close out the day. Of course, we looked at these highlights earlier, but the first one I want to look at is thoughts on the Panthers starting offense today. And this is going to be a pretty clear sign of how the game went. Of course, Brandon Hammonds there. Of course, this is from Michael Bell. The top comment there from Brandon Hammonds. Should have kept them in the entire first half. I really don't want to jump to conclusions. And that's what I've been saying the whole time. So I agree fully with that. Literally dog water from the Roll Coverage Pod. Andy G, of course, that's letting us know it's trash, unfortunately. So Drew Graham says it's wild. It's wild the credit you guys put in a preseason. Didn't the Manning-led Colts lose every preseason game forever? And maybe he has a point. Captain Crash says garbage. Dynasty Old School says straight ass. Ross Chaslin's hat says whole lot of hype through camp and joint practices, but outside of one drive-in games, have looked mid. It's preseason, but as of right now, everyone needs to chill with the hype. And maybe there's a point. Maybe there's a point to that. Who knows? Number one Panthers dog says offense and defense are both trash. This is 100% on coaching. Canales did not prepare his team for this week, and truth be told, we looked bad last week outside of one drive. He's got a point. Again, that was what I was saying, is that there was one drive I liked watching, and the rest of the game was not worth it to watch. And it just seems like, at least with the backups, they're not prepared. And again, I'm not putting all the blame on Canales. I mean, I'm putting some of it on. He's the overseer of everything, but there's so much blame to be put on the defensive coordinator for the defensive woes. Of course, what you would expect here. Yeah, so the people weren't very happy, and I can't blame them. I'm not happy either. Looking at the rest of the tweets here, though, Princely is having a day against the run. He's growing in this area of the game, and I hope that he bodes well for late in the season when the Panthers will likely need him and scoring. So, hey, Princely with the good news, big run stopper. Canales says that, yes, Nick Scorin suffered a collapse lung that looked like heat exhaustion at first. The symptoms grew after practice. They took him to the hospital. So, again, we're really rooting for you, Nick. We're hoping that you're going to be okay. And then here's where I learned of the bad news. Dave Canales says starters won't play next week against Pittsburgh, which was his plan all along. But man, tough to roll into the regular season after those two shoddy performances. And I completely agree. Joe Pearson and, of course, Shanna Quick on Twitter, two of my favorite writers for the Panthers that I've been following along in the training camp process. And again, this is how I learned of the bad news. And then this is the last tweet to close it off. And it's long. There's a lot. But for my football fans out there, you'll love this. And it's not that much when we actually get into it. And there is some Panther stuff in there. But former Ohio State running back Trevion Henderson, of course, 1,560 yards and 19 touchdowns as a true freshman. His preseason's a true furthest thing from a fluke. Buy into him. Braylon Allen, the backup to Breece Hall in New York for the Jets. Legit weapon. Seattle's run offense is going to be a wagon, apparently. So Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet. Emeka Ukbuka, also from Ohio State, has had one of the most seamless transitions ever. Emeka Ukbuka, shout out to him. He's translating well. Keandre Lambert-Smith, contributing year one. He replaced Quentin Johnston in the starting lineup after he got injured, and told him there's more to come. The quarterback, of course, Justin Herbert, said there's more to come. Looking at the Broncos, Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin will be significant contributors this year. So that's something to look at in fantasy football, especially because those guys go late in drafts, really late. Jackson Dart says that there's clear round one tape, and it looks like, he's saying Giants starter by week 10 at the absolute latest. This one I love to read. Anthony Richardson should start all 17 games if healthy. Absolutely. I believe in him still. I believe in the one-of-a-kind type of talent he is. Again, maybe a little overhyped, but I believe in it. I do. And that's that. Garrett Wilson needs to be faded in drafts. Apparently, the Jets' passing offense is bad. Which under Justin Fields, we're not surprised. This is what I was waiting for. Jalen Coker, he didn't play in the game, which sucked because it led, I'm guessing, partially to the struggles. This has been a guy that's been so big for us. Of course, the tweet here by Ben Cummings, he says, not nothing, and I fully agree. Travis Hunter is going to have an incredible rookie season aided by slot usage and multiple 50-plus yard wide receiver screen touchdowns. We'll see if he has the talent to pull those off. All signs point to he does, obviously. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a 7th-round pick, will be a year one contributor to talent not to be. The Commanders called him the steal of the draft, and the Commanders also put their running back Brian Robinson Jr. on the trade block, which is kind of unreal. Kind of unreal how good this guy's been. And I've even seen a picture of someone in I think it was a sleeper draft where, of course, CM was drafted in, oh my goodness, was it? It was the sixth round, which is way too early. Um, Draft Alec A.O. Manor for an exciting upsides week 10 plus. That is, of course, going to be the Titans wide receiver, a rookie coming into this year. Isaac Tesla. I mean, these are not all rookies, but mostly rookies. Isaac Tesla has already won wide receiver job in Detroit, which is unreal. So huge value there, especially for where he's being picked. Torrey Horton has already won wide receiver job in Seattle, which is also going to be a high value spot, being just behind Cooper Kupp and JSN. I think that's just going to open up the field so much for him. A guy that is super underrated, I feel like, in fantasy drafts for what he could possibly deliver this year. This is pretty cool. This is I didn't read this actually. This last one. I read most of these. I guess I just forgot about this. Harold Fanning, a tight end for Bowling Green who put up 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns, being rested in preseason, tells us he's the Browns' starting slot wide receiver. Now, to give you the Carfax on Harold Fannin, he's 6'4", 241, and is a tight end. And of course, yes, 1,555 yards and 10 touchdowns in 13 games for Harold Fannin. Slot receiver. That's enticing. That's really exciting. So I want to shout out Ben Cummins for that. And somehow, some way, I got through everything on my notes. Of course, we didn't really have anything about the Leafs because nothing's come out. Shout out Maselli. I think he's going to be quite good. We got through everything, which I'm kind of shocked about. Austin calling that guy our dad's burner account because big Ohio State guy, and that guy is all over the Buckeyes coming into this year. So, hey, I like it. I think they're going to be great. Buckeyes, not only have they been a wide receiver factory, they've been an NFL talent factory. So, there you go. We're nearing the end, of course, of the sports hour here, as it is 1:13. We got about 2 hours left for the fun before we wind down. Again, I had so many notes going into this because there was so much that went down this weekend. We got through everything. There will be some stuff that I want to spend more time talking about, especially Jalen Coker. We'll do some season previews as time goes on. I will also talk about fantasy football drafts and some of the ones that I've done, and if you are going to do one, what you should look for. Whatever I feel like talking that day. So, to wrap up, Panthers, frustrated. But I have not lost hope. I have not lost my optimism. And speaking of optimism, the Toronto Blue Jays. All the reasons in the world to be optimistic. We got 3 games against the Pirates. Maybe we win all 3, but I think it's going to be another case of 2 out of 3 games. Taking 2. Which I'm cool with, just as long as we win more games than we lose in these series. Of course, the Raptors, big promotion. Really excited about that. We'll see. I like the future of the team. A lot of people are doubting them. I like the future. I'm also really excited about the Miami Marlins series here. That should be cash money. And then Wednesday night, Dynamite is going to be really fun. We'll be talking about that more when we get closer to it. And we get more matches announced for it. But that is all I have for you today. So thank you for tuning in to the Curtis Collings Presents the Sports Hour.